And we want to say welcome home. We're Christ Point Church. We're located on the square in Sparta. We want you to come and pay us a personal visit, 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock on Sundays. 5:45, we'll begin to start feeding you on Wednesdays. Electives at 6:30. We want to see you. We want you to be a part of what's going on. Come to the square. Take a look right, and you'll see the Red Cross come right on in. We want you to be a part of it. Ben Lomond viewers, good to have you guys with us this morning. If you're linking up on whatever, then we want to say welcome home to all those that are linking up this morning. Hey, nails and tattoos. Wow. Nails and tattoos, now what? Now what? Nails and tattoos. See, it's after Easter. I don't know if you noticed that, but on the calendar, if you look at Easter, you're going to notice that we are on the other side of Easter. It's after Easter, so now what? See, this is always, I've got some friends on a group messaging that I talk with quite often, and one of them puts this little picture on there and says Easter, and it's about 1,000 people in service, and then it says the week after Easter, it's got about 12 people in service. I'm like, hey, you know what? Now what? See, I can forget about the Lord for a whole year. See, I've done my thing. I can forget about the Lord for a whole year. I made my mom and my dad, I maybe made my grandparents happy. I showed up. You know what? Maybe it was a spouse or grandchild or my children that invited me. But, hey, I showed up. I made my showing. Now, hey, we all know the script. At this point, we know the script. We know it very well. It's the same old sermon that every preacher preaches every Easter Sunday morning. I can tell it to you. I don't even have to get up early in order to go to hear that. Jesus dies. Jesus is buried. Jesus rises again. End of story. That's, these are the things we hear. I'm off the hook for at least a whole year. I've got my fix. I've done my thing. I'm off the hook now. I don't have to go back. I don't have to attend anymore. I don't have to cultivate a relationship with Jesus. We hear these things, or we might even have thought these things. And let me tell you something. I probably thought these things back in my day too. You know what? Hey, I've done my thing. It's good enough. I'm good from here. You know what? I made somebody happy. I made my showing. I got them off my back for a little while. See, there's more to Jesus than a singular event. I want us to realize there's more to Jesus. I want us to be able to tell that person sitting next to us at the lunch table every Monday through Friday that there's more to Jesus than a singular event. There's more, that He's more than just a one-day king. So what happens now? What happens after the Sabbath? What's going to go on after the Sabbath? See, the question for us is, Easter's gone. That's what the calendar says. The calendar says the Easter mentality has passed. I don't even have to go to church now. See, that's what the Easter mentality on the calendar says. Easter is over, so is Easter for us a visit to the local and beautiful nail tech? Is that what Easter is for us? Is Easter a visit to the local and beautiful nail tech? Or is Easter a visit to the tattoo parlor? See, I want to know, is Easter a visit to the nail tech or a visit to the tattoo parlor? That's what I want to know. Let me give a disclaimer right now. I've never sat in either chair. I have no idea. So I'm giving you secondhand information from my conversations with other people. I've never sat in one of those chairs. I don't have a tattoo. I'm not against them. I just don't have one. I don't have a tattoo, and I've never had my fingers did. So I'm just telling you like it is. Oh, by the way, if you do, Travis, you get a discount on that, don't you? Just had to throw that one in there. Anyway, I just got to tell you, let me explain the difference. When you visit the nail tech, they're going to paint your fingers and your toes. Man, they're going to make them look pretty. I mean, you're going to walk out there like this, like Casey did in the play that time. You're going to walk out like this. Man, you're feeling good about yourself. You've got all dolled up. You got your fingers did. Man, you're looking good. You know what? They'll even put things on those. They'll put fake things on. I do know that because I've heard the conversation. I've actually been with my wife when she went to there and I went to the sporting goods store. They'll put things on there that are not your real fingers. They'll put fake things on there. They'll scrub off the fungus from your toes. They'll get that stuff, that grime off there, so they can fix those things up and make them look a lot prettier than they otherwise would. See, they do artwork. They put little flowers on them, little jewels. They can do all kinds of things. You know what? Man, visit to the nail tech fixes you up. You'll leave there feeling and looking like $1.2 million. I'm telling you, I always leave room for tithe. So you'll feel like you're leaving there, you'll feel like 1,000,000.2. You'll have funny looking things between your toes, but you'll leave there feeling good. So when you visit the nail tech, man, something's happened. You see, I'm going to tell you what the visit to the nail tech won't do. It won't alter your appearance. It'll make your fingernails look good. It'll make your toenails look good, but it won't alter your appearance. It won't last forever. It won't last forever. It will not change who you are long term. You may feel a little bit more glamorous right now. You may feel a little bit better about yourself in the moment, but it's not going to change who you are long term. In a few weeks, you're going to have to go back again. You're going to have to make this visit again, or maybe even next year I'm going to have to make my annual visit the week before Easter. So I've got to go get that redone. Now I want to visit the tattoo parlor. We visited the nail tech. Now I want to visit the tattoo parlor. See, it's a different place. It's a different story. See, I've noticed from people and talking to people who get tattoos, usually it's something they're passionate about. You know what? I really do believe most people get tattoos about a passion of theirs. You know what? I'm passionate about the Lord. I get the Lord tattooed on me. You know, I've got a friend of mine right now that has he's tattooed right here on his arm a scripture because it spoke to him and changed his life. And he tattooed it right here. He lives in Florida. And I've seen the tattoo. It's something on our bodies that we are passionate about. It's something that we're trying to make a statement about. You know what? I may be trying to make a statement that I believe in this, or I'm all about this, or I'm that or that. You know what? I'm making a statement. I'm passionate about something. It could be that it's just something that stands out. See, a tattoo stands out, and it leaves that person permanently altered. It leaves that person permanently altered. See, a visit to the tattoo parlor, this is what it will do. We looked at what a visit to the nail tech won't do. This is what a visit to the tattoo parlor will do. It will alter your appearance. You're not going to look the same. You're just not. It's going to alter your appearance. It will last forever. It's not going. You can't decide in 3 weeks. You know what? I broke up with Gloria. Now I got to figure out what I'm going to do. You can't just say, you know, hey, I'm going to erase it and it'll go away. You know, so you know, it's going to be forever. It's on there, and it alters our appearance. Number 3, no matter what, you are committed to it for life. You're not going to decide down the road that I don't want to be committed to this marriage anymore. It's going to be part of you, and it is what it is. See, is Easter for us? Is it for us? Is the resurrection of Jesus Christ? Is the risen Savior? Is the conquering of death and the grave? Is it a visit to the nail tech, or is it a visit to the tattoo parlor? See, that's what I'm asking today. Are we involved for a little while, or are we committed for the long haul? That's the question I want to throw out there this morning. Are we just a little bit in for a little while? Because you know what? If I don't like these, Dubby can take them off. I'm going to tell you, you know what? Hey, you know what? I may not like the toes. If I don't like them, you know, I have granddaughters. I've not sat in the nail tech chair, but I've sat on the back porch and got my toenails did. I'm telling you. See, Hunas, that's what my granddaughters call me. Good Hunas will get the toenails painted. And I ain't even going to start on Johnny Hood. I ain't going to go there. So the thing is, are we just involved with what Jesus is doing, or are we committed to make a change? See, what Jesus did on Easter 2,000 years ago, he did it for you, and he did it for me. And see, he committed himself to your life and to my life. I mean, he literally committed himself to your life and to my life. So Easter is over. What happens now? You know, nails and tattoos, now what? What happens now? See, I want to give you the biblical definition of the word Sabbath. Sabbath is, by biblical definition, a day of rest from labor. A day of rest from labor. What can we expect after the Sabbath? It's the day that God came to put sin to rest. Man, I'm going to tell you something. That's the day. It's pretty much as simple and as plain as real as I can make it. It's the day that God came and He finished His job and He put sin to rest. What does that mean for me? We may be in the sanctuary. We may be listening on radio. We may be watching on TV. What does that mean for me? I mean, my word, what's that mean? It means a lot. Let's look at Matthew chapter 28, and we'll see how much it means. You can read along with me. Matthew chapter 28, we're going to start verse 1. We're going to go through 10. Now, after the Sabbath, toward the dawn of the first day of the week, Mary Magdalene. I mentioned these women last week. Man, here they are again. Man, I love these women. And the other Mary, they went to see the tomb. And behold, there was a great earthquake. For an angel of the Lord descended from heaven and came and rolled back the stone, and He sat upon it. His appearance was like lightning, and His clothing white as snow. And for fear of Him, the guards trembled and became like dead men. I love that part. But the angel said to the women, hey, wait a minute, don't you be afraid. They have every right to be afraid. Don't you be afraid. For I know that you seek Jesus who was crucified. He is not here. He's risen. I love that. Like last week, yeah, He's not here. He's gone, guys. He's gone just like He said He would come. I want you to see the bedding is the proof. Here's where He lay Himself. Here's where He was laying. Here's the proof, verse 7. Then go quickly and tell His disciples that He has risen from the dead. And behold, He is going before you to Galilee. There you will see Him. See, now I've told you this. So they departed quickly from the tomb with fear and with great joy. Got that adrenaline. And they ran to tell His disciples, and man, look what happens. Behold, Jesus met them and said, greetings. I mean, they're on the road. They're running with excitement. Their mentality is, a minute ago I was about to prepare my Lord's body and trying to get people to move the stone for me. Now I'm running down the road. I have all these emotions going on in my mind, and there He stands. And they came up and they took hold of Him, and they took hold of His feet, and they worshiped Him. Then Jesus said to them, hey, don't be afraid. I'm just going to reiterate what that angel told you. Don't be afraid. You have no right to be afraid. Go and tell my brothers to go to Galilee. There you're going to see me. There you're going to see me. Matthew 28, verses 1 through 10. Verse 1 says, now, after the Sabbath. There's more to what Jesus is for us in our lives than just Easter Sunday morning. Now, after the Sabbath, what does this mean for me? I want you to write this down if you can at all remember it in some form or fashion. This is what this means. This is what this day means. It means in a minute or two's time, we have women who felt like the world had been snatched out from under them on a victorious crusade to tell people that He's risen, and they find Him and see Him in the flesh. What does this mean for us? What does it mean that now we're after the Sabbath? Let me tell you what it means. It means you have power over everything that you thought had power over you. That's what it means. You and I have power over everything that we thought had power over us. So the mentality has got to change. See, there's victory after Easter, and we need to realize that. We don't need to realize that church, that Easter is the international go to church day, and the week after Easter is the international don't go to church day. So I want you to know, I don't believe in that. I believe that we tattoo His mission and His glory and His presence on our hearts. See, there's victory after Easter. We just have to recognize it. Jesus, for us, has to be more than painted fingernails. We have to allow Him to tattoo Himself onto our hearts. We have to allow it to permeate our very being and change us, or we'll always look at Jesus as a singular event. We'll always view Him as a one-day God. That's all we'll ever see. I want to break this down for you. I love this part. I want to break it down for you. And this is verses 2 through 9. I just want to break it down. What can we expect after the Sabbath? What can we expect after the resurrection? What can we expect when I kneel right here for the first time? What can we expect when I raise my hand at the end of this service and say, I want to give my heart to the Lord? What can we expect? I'm going to tell you what we can expect according to Matthew chapter 28, verses 1 through 9, or 2 through 9. I want to tell you what we can expect. If we will allow Jesus to tattoo our hearts, in verse 2, the earth will cry out around us for the holiness of Christ. Earth will cry out for the holiness. Everything around us will point toward Jesus. In verse 2 again, stones will tremble at His presence. Man, that means if I don't shout, I've often said this, you know what? If I don't give the Lord some glory, I'm afraid the rocks are going to start vibrating. So that means the very presence of the Lord and inanimate objects can't stay still. That means something's got to move at the presence of the Lord. So in verse 2, what happens for me after the Sabbath? What happens after I give my heart to the Lord? Stones tremble at His presence. Verse 3, the snow becomes whiter than we could ever imagine. And the lightning strikes brighter than our wildest imagination. Verse 4, the fearless become frozen in their fear. Man, you guys think you're all that because you've got on an outfit. You have a Roman outfit on. You're a Roman soldier with your nice sandals laced all the way up over your calves. You're literally trembling, and I love this part. I love this part. You have every right to tremble. You should tremble. Ladies, don't you worry. I love this. I just love the attitude change. They literally tremble in their fear. You don't have anything to worry about. And I know they felt it. What they're feeling, I'm not feeling. Because I know why I'm here. See, the fearless become frozen in their fear. In verse 5, the righteous are fearless in their faith. Verse 6, the hungry seek Him. This is what happens after the Sabbath. And the angelic proclaim Him. And in verse 9, the desperate worship at His feet. That's what happens after the Sabbath. These are all victories that come after I can say, Lord, enter into my heart and forgive me of my sins. These are victories that I can expect, because if He did, I say it again over and over and over like I did last week, if He could do it in Himself, He'll do it in us. So I'm going to tell you, all of these victories came after the Sabbath, after the resurrected heart. All of these came that day after. They didn't come during the tomb. They didn't come while the stone was in front of the tomb, covering it. They didn't come during that dark time on Saturday. The victory comes after the resurrected heart. The victory comes after we allow God to tattoo our hearts. See, let's look at the messenger. Let's take a look at the messenger this morning. See, God will always send a messenger. He's always going to send a messenger. He's always going to send someone to proclaim Him. He's going to put somebody in our lives that's going to point us to Jesus. He's going to do that. We can ignore it or we can accept it. So He sends a messenger. God will always send us somebody. God will always send us someone to proclaim. It may be a pastor in your life. I may be that. I accept that. It may be a friend. You know what? It may be that coworker that you hear preaching every Monday through Friday. Man, they're over on line 2. And I tell you what, even me as a Christian, I mean, you could say this, I get tired of hearing that woman preach. I've been at a place like that. But let me tell you, that's the person everybody ran to when somebody was hurt and somebody was sick. That may be the person that God is giving. That's the messenger. We're just not noticing it. Maybe that teammate right on the one that says, look, when you say, I think we should stop and pray, and you think, well, that may not be popular, and the other teammate says, wait a minute, I'm not moving here till we pray, and you feel like, gummit, I wish I'd said that sooner. It'd have been my idea. You know what? This guy is the one that reaches out to me. This is the one that Jesus has sent into my life to speak power and life into me. It may be a spouse I watch every single day get on their face and pray. I hear them pray. It may be that mama that I've heard praying from that room and calling out my name so many times I can quote the prayer. It may be that person. It may be the teacher in my life. That when I don't feel like home's worth nothing, I'm not getting anything at home, I'm getting yelled at, and I can't wait to get out of there. Home is not a pleasant place for me, but it may be that one person that God put in my life that says, you are important. Let me tell you something. God's going to send us a messenger. We need to realize who it is. These are the people that we need to allow to tattoo Jesus on our hearts. We need to allow them in. We need to allow them to lean in and to enter in. We need to give them space and let them take up some residence because they're going to bring Jesus when they do. But when we look at Matthew 28, this messenger, this angel, he had something to say. He had something to say. Pull that stone back. Roll that thing back. Set upon it. Set himself down. That's what I think of what you guys. I love this. This is what I think of what you guys think is final. I'm just going to set up on it. I'm just going to relax against it. You know, the angel had something to say, and they were not suggestions. They were not suggestions. Let me explain to you suggestions. Road signs and speed limit signs to my wife are suggestions. If it says 65 and she gets pulled over, you know, she says, well, that doesn't say this is a law. I know they're 3 by 5. You have told me that before. But it doesn't say it's a law. I took that as being a suggestion. You say I should drive 65. I think I should drive 90. Those are only suggestions. When you play golf with some of us, I think par is a suggestion. That's the way we have to look at it. Par on this hole is 4. I'm suggesting it might be 6. So those are suggestions. You know what? The angel proclaimed, came as a messenger and said, look, I'm not coming to give you suggestions, ladies. I'm coming to give you commands from the Lord. I'm coming to give you instruction. And he had 4 things that he gave them. 4 things that he gave them. He said, look, don't be afraid. That guy has every right and should be afraid. Because if I was him, I'd be thinking I'm about to die any minute. You don't have anything to be afraid of. You're my junk. You're my stuff. You're mine. I'm here to tell you that the Lord has you on his mind. You're the one. Now you need to be afraid. So this is what he says, 4 things. Don't be afraid. Then he says, go. Don't be afraid and go. Then he says, number 3, don't be afraid, go and go quickly. Don't be afraid, go quickly. And then the 4th thing, he says, tell. So this is what comes after the Sabbath. Don't be afraid, go quickly and tell. See, then he told them where to find Jesus. It's not good enough. I can tell in your eyes. I can tell in your body language. It's not good enough to see an empty tomb. That's not good enough. Guys, it's not good enough for us to see an empty tomb. You know what an empty tomb is? An empty tomb is the visit to the nail tech. If all I ever see is an empty tomb, that's all I'm ever going to get is a temporary fix. I can tell, ladies, by the look in your eyes, you want to see Jesus, don't you? And then he tells them, I'm going to tell you where you can find him. You can find him on his way to Galilee. See, Nazareth was located in Galilee. If you want to find Jesus, he's on his way home. He's on his way home. You tell me, people say, home's not a pretty place. What's the funny thing to me, it's where Jesus was headed when he came out of the grave. He was going home. And if you want to find Jesus, I can tell you right now, get out of this grave and get on the road home and you're going to find him. That's where you're going to find him. He's on his way home. And then they find Jesus. And oh my word, what a glorious moment. I couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine what went on in their hearts and their minds. What was going on? They find Jesus. And Jesus tells them. And he says, ladies, I want to tell you something. The angel said, go. Don't be afraid. Go. He said, don't be afraid. Go quickly and tell. I'm going to tell you what I want to tell you. Don't be afraid. Go tell. And if you want to see me, I'm going home. He's not going to go against what the messenger says. He's not going to give something totally different. It's going to fall in line. You have the right Savior. You have the right Jesus. You've got the right empty place. Now we need to fill the empty heart. We need to get all tatted up is what I'm saying. So I'm telling you, Jesus is saying, now don't you be afraid. I want to go back to these guys. You have every right to be afraid. But don't you be afraid. Don't you be afraid. And I want you to go and I want you to tell. And I want you to go home and tell my disciples, tell my friends that if they want to see me, I'm going home. That's where I'm going. That's where I'm going to be. After Easter, after the Sabbath, it's time to get tatted up. I'm just telling it like it is. It's time to commit to the Sabbath experience. It's time to commit. It's time to commit to a new life. Man, let's embrace a new life. Let's embrace that new life. You know, a new life that we should tell of. And then we should tell of quickly. And we should not be afraid to tell of. Because if I go tomorrow and I get me a tattoo on my arm that says Tina. Spell it right with an E. If I get a tattoo on my arm that says Tina, you know what? People are going to see that. This is what I'm saying to you today. Don't be afraid to let people see what Jesus is doing in our lives. Man, tat it up. Tat it up. Now, last thing I want to leave you with, Galilee. Why does he mention Galilee? Why does he say Galilee? He specifically says, I want you to go to Galilee. Why does he specifically say Galilee? Galilee was home, number one. It was home. Number two, we're going to talk about that next week. Number two, it was highly populated with Gentiles. These are people that don't know Jesus. These are people that at that time they wouldn't Jewish faith people. So what is he telling us today? You got a new life. If you don't have a new life, get one today.
Hello guys, Pastor Steve here, Christ Point Church, and I really hope you enjoyed the service today. I appreciate you viewing. I would like to invite you personally to be a part of the services at 9 and 11 a.m. on Sunday mornings. We're located on the square in Sparta, Tennessee. So just want to say to you, we're real people, living real lives, serving a real God. Welcome home. Good to see you.